Hey, I'm Matt. I lead developer experience here at Dynamic, and today I'm here to show you how to get up and running with React in a few minutes. Let's assume you have already signed up for the platform, so you have access to the dashboard, app.dynamic.xyz. You have open our documentation, docs.dynamic.xyz, and you have installed a vanilla Create React App instance. You can do so by following the link below this video, or simply running npx create react app with dashes, followed by your app name in your terminal. Let's go. If we want to get started quick, there is no better place to go than the quick start. There's in fact only 2 steps to this, but there's a few nuances along the way which are important to you as a developer because you have some choices to make. So let's go through them. Firstly, you're going to install the SDK. You can use npm or yarn. It's important to note that yarn does not install peer dependencies for you by default. That'll be important in a moment. You can choose to use Veeam or Ethers as the library to interact with the blockchain. We use Veeam by default. It's really performant, it's really lightweight, we're big fans of the library, and in fact it comes from the creators of WAGMI, which is even better. Not to say that Ethers doesn't have its merits too. I guess it's whatever works best for your use case and your needs. However, it's important because if you just install the SDK by default, it'll come with Veeam, not Ethers. If you're happy with that, no worries. If you need to use Ethers, also no worries. Switch it over, we'll give you the right library, and in the next step, we'll also give you the right code snippet. This is why it's important to know the difference between peer dependencies on Yarn and on npm. You see here when we choose Veeam, it doesn't show up. We're not installing it manually with npm. Now we've made it a peer dependency, so it gets installed on npm. Whereas Yarn doesn't do this for you, so we have to manually install it ourselves. That's the difference. A small note at this stage, if you choose Ethers, you'll see that we still install Veeam, and that's because it is required by the Dynamic SDK anyway. Because it is very lightweight, that's not generally a problem. It's just something for you to be aware of when you're setting it up. Lastly, you can use WAGMI for its hooks, or you can use dynamic hooks. I'll link some documentation to this below the video, but for now let's assume that we want to use WAGMI for whatever reason, so let's keep this turned on. The final step is to choose what chains we want to support. Ethereum is always a great one to start with, because it also includes by default the layer 2s like Base and dynamic embedded wallets, which we'll come to in a moment. So all good there. And let's, in this instance, use Starknet 2. Here we have our code snippet generated for us. You see it's completely dynamic. We'll copy that code, flip over to a terminal, and let's go for an installation. Now I'm going to flip over to our Create React App instance and get ready to do the next step. Here we have nothing. We want to return the bare minimum to get sign up and login working. So what does that bare minimum look like? Turns out very little. In the next step, this is completely synchronized with the first step, so you don't need to do anything else at all. Starknet's already pre-selected for you, and all these choices too. We can simply copy this code, pop over here, and drop it in. Just like that. There is one thing missing, as we can see. Replace your environment ID. You can see you find it in dashboard/developer. So let's take a look for that now. Over here in developer, we can see it right here. We can see we're in sandbox mode at the moment, which is a good thing. We're creating users, but we're creating test users. We don't want to pollute our live environment yet. As you can see, when you switch over, you get a different environment ID, so we can change that at any stage. But for now, let's stick with sandbox. Pop over and insert it here. That's it. Let me explain what's going on before we run this thing and see what it does for us. You see we're importing the context provider, which is wrapping our application. It's important to have this at the highest level possible as anything inside can access and use dynamic functionality, but anything outside can't. Generally good practice to just have one of these and wrap as high up in your component tree as you can. It takes a settings parameter, and inside you have things like environment ID and wallet connectors. The SDK doesn't come bundled with any wallet connectors by default to keep it as lightweight as possible. We don't know what you need. It's up to us to give you choices and keep things working well no matter what you choose. So for that reason, you get to import whatever wallet connectors you need and pass them in here, which we've now done. Below this, we have the WAGMI connector. If you don't want to use WAGMI, just take it out. Zero problem. Nothing will break. If you do, just keep it below the context provider. Generally around here is a good step, and then the rest of your application inside. Lastly, we have the UI component. This is the dynamic widget. Again, I'll link documentation for this below this video. But the main thing for you to know is it's going to provide out-of-the-box UI and handle a lot of edge cases when it comes to wallets, multi-wallets, switching between different chains, that kind of thing. So it's really handy to have. You don't need to use it. You can do headless or build your own. Zero problem there. But good to know. Give it a go first, see what it gives you. Also note that you don't have to put it right here. You can put it anywhere in your app. We're just putting it here for simplicity's sake. That's it for now. Let's give this a run. With npm start, cross our fingers, pop to localhost 3000, and this is what we get. Connect our wallet. We have our wallets here at the top and email at the bottom. If I hold my breath, sign in via MetaMask, there we go. We're signed in. We can even link additional wallets if we need to. Wonderful.